All right, I didn't think I was gonna have to make this video, but the Xenoverse 3 community, from what I have seen, is pretty split as of right now, and I just can't keep quiet. I gotta talk about this. So in the Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse 3 community, if you've been living under a rock, there has been a major battle, I would say, because this is what it came down to, because I've witnessed pure disrespect being thrown to different people and creators from supporting one side or the other, especially it focusing around the poll that rhymestyle put out, which was regarding PVE. If you play PVE content, what I believe he I have it on the screen, but he said, what did you play more of? Was it PVE? And then he put all the PVE stuff that at least went for PVE. I think he left out the battle thingy though with the cards, that horrible update that we had. Oh, that's besides the point. That is PVE, but that's besides the point. And then he also put the PvP and all the stuff for PvP that's in Xenoverse 2. Okay, the Xenoverse 2 community that is now transitioning over to Xenoverse 3 are having their doubts with the game, which everybody is entitled to do so. There's criticisms everywhere, you know, as long as it's valid criticism, then I have no qualms with you. I have no problems. But when it seems like you're just giving a criticism out of just hating and spite and attacking people, then that is where I have an issue. And one thing that I do want to stress with rhymestyle's post, by the way, he shares a very big demographic with the people that he's made communities with. So if you guys don't know how YouTube works on basing like the algorithm, who you watch, they'll suggest you content that is similar to that person. Rhymestyle and Syriax and Dado share a lot of their same subscribers. Same thing with Nano as well too. You trying to say that rhymestyle's post for his question is biased because he is a PvE person, even though he's done a shit ton of PvP videos. Same thing with Syriax and Dado. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you, besides Dado, rhymestyle and especially Syriax will beat 70 to 80% of this entire community ass. Literally, they will beat your ass. So you trying to say that they're not PvP, like they're not good at PvP, is the most absurd shit I've ever heard. It's the same thing in fighters and how they are in the top 30% in my opinion when it comes to Fighter Z, right? Even though Rhyme does not go too crazy into competitive play, he actually played competitive people and he didn't do too bad either on his Fighter Z videos. So he can see, we've seen that he can squabble in a competitive PvP sphere, especially Dado. And Dion has done a good job as well too. You trying to say that him hosting this poll, which once again, he did not use any framing or priming words. He just said, what did you play more in Xenoverse 2 of these two options? And gave literally the majority of the PvP options and the PvE options. Quite literally. It makes no sense because Dado, Syriax, and Nano and Rhyme all share mostly, I would say, maybe around 300 to 400,000 subscribers collectively across all of their channels. So each channel is diverse with different people sprinkled in from different channels. It is not a biased pool. And it's random. Anyone can answer this. Anybody can answer this poll. All right? So it's not like he's choosing specific people. Anyone can answer this poll. So I really like how Rhyme actually asked that question because he did not make it biased. He did not make it point in one direction. He quite literally gave you two of the most upfront options for you to answer, which in research is what you want to do. When the demo for Xenoverse 3 dropped, actually even before the Xenoverse 3 demo dropped for the road trip that they were having across the United States, which that was some bullshit. It's just mainly across California with a little bit sprinkled outside of it. But there were people saying that, oh, there's no CACs. That makes no darn sense because Xenoverse 2's whole thing is about customizing and also player choice and player customizability. Xenoverse 2 prided themselves on that, and that was also the beginning point of Xenoverse 1. Xenoverse 1 was the answer for Dragon Ball Online, and a lot of people don't seem to understand that, so I'm going to say that again. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 was the answer to Dragon Ball Online. Online does not exist because Xenoverse exists, and there will never be another Dragon Ball Online. Bandai has only done what has worked, which is why they backed up Xenoverse 1 to get to Xenoverse 2, because they seen that the model worked, that us fans love what we were getting out of it. So that led us to Xenoverse 2. Xenoverse 2 is more of a live service role-playing game. It's an action role-playing game that puts you at the forefront of the problems. They allow you to experience the stories while strengthening your CAC through mini battles, through all your mentors, and through the story for you to become the hero of the story. You are the protagonist. You are Goku in this era. You are the main character, and that's what they want you to feel. They want you to feel like the game is being catered to you, because that's what the game ultimately is. That's why you get all of your decision makings, well, not decision making specifically for the story, but you get your ability for your character, for how you want to make them, how you want to see them, even though some of the designs were a little bit lackluster, you know, especially with like the body diversity. But those are the chances that they give you to customize. Same thing with your transformations, the races as well too, and then of course your move sets, your clothing, literally everything coming down to the point of your CAC is customizable to your exact expectations, at least what the game permits. Xenoverse 3, why would that be different? That makes no sense. You want to throw away what Xenoverse 1 started, where Xenoverse 2 solidified, and what Xenoverse 3 is going to continue to build on top of. That made no sense, but people were going around fear-mongering that, and once again with no evidence at all, which was a major issue because they didn't even wait till the demo to drop. Now we have the Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 demo. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 is looking like more of a live service action role-playing game that takes on a more direct MMO aspect. Now, for someone who plays MMOs and who's played different 3D fighting arenas, I personally like it. The reason why I like it is because it then cuts out the fluff that you get in between your games, your transition periods. Me personally, I'm not sure about you guys, but the parallel quest is where I had to jump through rings and then I had to go back and forth. I've made mistakes before going through the wrong ring and then I had to sit there and load. Now, don't get me wrong, the PS5 kind of cut down the loading time a little bit, but it's still enough to fill it. You being loaded into an actual full arena with the bosses, with the mini bosses, with the side bosses that you gotta fight already, with the minions already loaded in, is way more of a effective way to kill the dead space. I don't like having dead space in between my games, the transitioning. I think I want to go in as a non-stop fight through, right? Same thing like with Destiny. When you go and play Destiny 2, you go into a dungeon, you go into a raid from beginning to end. You are, well, at least in segments for Destiny 2, you're non-stop engaged in the fight, and that's exactly what that needs to be. A lot of people are not in that world of MMO and don't understand that. If you're not, that's fine, but that's the reason why my criticism for this specifically is very positive, because someone who's played MMOs understands that I don't have to sit there and worry about loading times in between or making mistakes going through the wrong ring. Okay, so that's something that I personally like. Other people may have something different, but I've yet to hear good constructive feedback or criticism. I've only heard I hate this, I don't like this, or it's boring. That is subjective. That's subjective to you, not me, and not the other 80,000 people who play this game, to millions of people opinions. Okay, just because you have a platform to say that does not mean that's true. If you're gonna speak from any type of statistical standpoint, you need to be backed with some numbers. And I always enter my beefs with number. Now, I'm not saying I got beef with anyone specifically. I've seen too many people, but I'm putting this video out as a way to shut everybody up and give you guys the number, so that way you can make your own decision, your own take on what you feel like the community is more engaged to. Because as Bandai and Hiromu Sama, they see the game as more of a live service to give the PVE content more. PVE is more predominant in this type of a game rather than PvP. PvP can't sustain Xenoverse 2. PvP can't sustain Xenoverse 3. And PvP definitely can't sustain, or at least did sustain, Xenoverse 1. Now, hey Zeke, you're saying this? Where's some supporting evidence? I got that. We're gonna hop in there in 1 second. So, another thing that popped up was Steam versus PlayStation. All right, where players play and seeing what is the most preferred way to play. I've heard some conversation where people say that people who play on PC only plays on PC because they are modding there, because they can do X, Y, and Z there. They're not there for the PvP experience. More people on the PlayStation. All right. Now, I have some numbers here that I'm going to share with you in a bit. We're going to walk through together, so that way there can be no miscommunications, no misconceptions, no lying, no biased opinions. Okay. All right. So let's take a look. All right, so here we go. We have PlayStation players for PS4 and PS5 numbers here, and then we have the actual Steam chart numbers here. Okay, so here you're actually able to see what the current player base is, their all-time peaks going through the years. They're all here. The information, spectacular. All right, and for the Steam, as you can see, we're going to go backwards. We're going to look at specifically Steam players versus PlayStation players. All right, what are the peak concurrents and the average players? That's what we're going to focus on. Okay, I'm not going to go into my PVE versus PvP argument yet. We're going to go into what platform people are playing, because a lot of people are saying PlayStation plays the most on platforms, not PC. Well, let's check that out, right? And this is going all the way back to 2022. I can't get the players numbers from 2021 to 2016. So there is a little bit of a cap there that we are missing some data there. So I do think this all-time peak is a little bit wrong per se. It should be a lot closer, if not maybe a little bit more than the Steam. So that is the only thing that I will say that I am not going to count towards this, simply because we're missing data. I've tried finding that data. It is hard to find. I went through about 20 different websites trying to search things up, even downloading the CSVs and trying to, do the best I can to try to pull some numbers. It just did not work. But besides the point, we're going to cap it at 2022. We're not going to take into a whole effect the all-time peak. Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to say the all-time peak for PlayStation is probably about 20 to 25,000. So I'll give it to that for all-time peak. Maybe for PlayStation, I think it is fair to have it a little bit above the PC port. Okay, so let's hop into the numbers. So for the last 30 days, we have, here we go, from, oh wait, I'm already at the bottom. All right, so last 30 days from the counting, and these are pretty much synced up as well too. So I have them all synced up, so it is getting the freshest numbers regarding this time. Now let's take a look. So the last 30 days, peak was at 8,942. PlayStation peak was 8,934. So there are more players that peaked on Steam rather than PlayStation. The average players was 4,436 and then 4,453. So there was more average players by 0.2% over here. But as you can see from the last 30 days, I'm not going to get into this argument. There has been a dramatic increase of people coming back to the game. I wonder why. We'll touch on that basis later. Okay. So June of 2026, they have 6,408 peak players, and then they're tied with PlayStation as well too. But the average player is higher once again, well, at least not once again, but at least here for June on Steam than it is on PlayStation. Let's take another look again. May 2026, 2,971. All right, they have more peak players here on PlayStation, but they have lesser average players. Wait, is that for May, right? It May 187. Nope, just a little bit extra. Okay, so April 2026, 3,861, and then the same thing once again, 3,861 again, and then for the average player, it was once again for April 1,145, and then this one was 1,178. So a little bit higher as well too. And then let's go to March for Steam. Their peak was 1,777, and then for March of PlayStation is once again is 4,793. So wide range there, but as you can see, there is a good number of representation that these numbers are not that far off from each other. Now, when you go down from the 2005s, you do notice that yes, there is a considerable higher amount of people playing on PlayStation rather than Steam. I think the lowest hitting one was, yes, look at this, was the August 913 versus when you go back to PlayStation for August 2025, they're sitting at about like 6,000 some change. Okay, so at least from this argument that you can see here, there is good conclusive evidence that there is more of a player base there on console than Steam. Now, is it insanely of a gap? No, I would say at least within the margin that PlayStation would eclipse on a average non-PVE release. I would say that Steam would be eclipsed by PlayStation. I would say about maybe 20 to 30%, which is that is still a considerable amount, of course. But those numbers seem to fluctuate a lot with releases of PVEs. So we're now going to go into the PVE versus PvP conversation. People have said that Xenoverse 2 is a game that everyone wants to go for PvP. All right, that there are more people playing the game because of PvP rather than PvE. I'm here to tell you that that is bullshit. Any creator who's going to sit here and tell you that shit needs to brush their teeth, because their mouth probably smells like fucking horse shit. All right, the amount of shit that's in their mouth is stinking on their teeth that quite literally within an 8-mile fucking radius, every single person wants to stay away from them. I wouldn't even be surprised if those motherfuckers are sipping and tripping on acid on a daily. Okay, on a daily. So KZ, why are you saying that? All right, Xenoverse 2 is not a PvP game. It is a action role-playing game that is, what I said earlier, basically centered around your CAC's development. You playing in stories, parallel quests, raids, all that great jazz. It is centered around you as the main focal point. You're the main character of your story. That is what Xenoverse 3 is trying to also, once again, solidify and cement, that we're continuing this from Xenoverse 2 to Xenoverse 3. Xenoverse 2 has never been categorized as a PvP game. And also, Google is free. No! Is Xenoverse 2 a true PvP game? No! Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is not a true competitive PvP game. It is not. You're pressing the fucking same 2 square triangle buttons and then mission matching with different abilities. If you motherfuckers are saying that Xenoverse 2 is a real PvP game, get on Fighters, get on Marvel Tokon, get on Mortal Kombat X, get on Mortal Kombat 11, get on Mortal Kombat 1. Get back, get in the trenches, get on Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6. Dude, get on Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like, those are true fighting games, okay? I play those. That's my spear. This is not a true PvP game. It functions primarily as an action RPG, MMORPG, focused on PvE content featuring unbalanced mechanisms, stat-driven character builds, and prevalent networking issues. We're gonna talk about that later. But even Google is smarter than you, dumb. Let me not be mean. Even Google has more brain cells than most of this Dragon Ball community. All right. Now, if you're going to say that, oh, Xenoverse 2 was a very PvE based game, then you must have some type of numbers to justify this, right? Oh, do I come right on time for you guys. So here is the listing of all of the Xenoverse 2 DLCs right here. You can see from the major Xenoverses, it is from the extra packs going all the way down to the Future Saga Chapter 4. Now, because of data being lost, because it's not covered, and this is the best actual numbers I can get for representation for PlayStation players, I am not going to count for these DLCs here. I am mainly going to go to the Hero of Justice Pack 1 because that is in both of these respective charts. And then we're going to go all the way down to the Future Saga Chapter 4. Now, the rule of thumb of margin of error is that we have to take an account of release dates. So I have a rule of thumb to look at the month before the release, the month of the release, and then the month after release to see if there is any type of growth from loss to gain. The reason why that is significant to look at, and there is a reasonable reason to do so, is because if you look at most of these release dates, Bandai likes to release their DLC either in the middle of the month or the end. So you have to account for people saving money to buy the DLC, or for families to provide it for holidays. Bandai typically likes to give games out on either the summer and towards holidays. So you see it around October, November, December, and then May most of the time, right? And you'll see that once again, it is very clear as day. The only exception to this rule, ironically, is the Future Saga Chapter 4. So, like I said, to make sure that we are getting a reasonable sample that can actually be analyzed from the numbers, we're gonna look at the month prior, the month during, and then the month after to see if there's any reasonable gains and drops. And then from there, we're going to look at consistencies as well too. So we're going to look at the next month or two to see if there are a continuous grow where you see the gain goes higher and higher, or does the number drop down drastically low as well. Okay, all right, let's hop in. The first one we have is back at June 2022, right? So we're going to go all the way to June 2022. Just a couple clicks here. June 2022. All right, here we go. So for June 2022, this is the release of the Hero of Justice Pack 2. Justice Pack 1. All right. We see here that there is, look at this, a 14.7% gain. Same thing here over on the Steam side. Now, ironically, they also have pretty good average. Well, PlayStation has the highest average players and peak players. Steam also was showing that number also as well too, being reciprocated. Now let's look at the months prior from this. So we're going to go 2 months, right? So that will give the runoff period where people are like, okay, well, I had my fun. I farmed up all the new moves. I did all the parallel quests. I did all the new stories as well too. All right, let's see if we can just continue to have some fun with this game. June, July, August. You see June, July, 1 month after, still has a pretty good number. And it's somewhat good as well too over here on PlayStation, right? Now, July. Make sure nothing came out in July yet. Nope, we're good all the way into May. So, August, we've seen a dramatic drop from PC. August as well too. We lost more than, what, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We lost about 8% and some change, dropping down. So from here, we are already sitting in a deficit, as some would say. Okay. At that point, this is PvP entirely. Well, not entirely. It's PvP, and then there's also raids as well too. I don't know the raids that were going on around this at this time, if there was any. I can't remember that far back, to be quite honest with you. So we do have to also take some caution in there as well. But like I said, as you can see, August. And then August here, the numbers did drop from the initial release. So the next one is May 11, 2023. All right. And then, like I said, I do give it some grace. Look at this. We do see that here in September, it was a 16.7%. So it went back up. I don't know exactly what happened at that time because there was a peak rise. So I'm not sure if there was any raids or was there anything else fun going on in the game at that point. Steam did not reflect this until October, which was the 2022. Something must have happened there in 2022 because both Steam and PlayStation both went up, and then following November was a dramatic decrease as well too. So more than likely there was something that was released there that I can't remember that was going on at that time frame. From there, it seems to have been a drop off. All right, so now let's go back over into the May 11th, 2023. So May 11th, 2023, May 11th. So we have May 2023 here, and then we have May of 2023. So May of 2023, this release for this pack was in early May. So there is still a dramatic decrease of the average. And then for June, it is still also a massive dramatic decrease. I will say it does seem like for the 2023 Hero of Justice pack, that was really not much of a fun one. I don't remember much crazy things happening for the Hero of Justice pack, so that can probably be the reason why it flopped. So you see no natural gain. But you gotta remember around this time too, revamp should have been going on. I believe when did revamp Xenoverse 2 first start appearing? So doing this Google search right here, so around 2019, and then going, okay, so with major milestone versions like the V4 arriving in November 2021, massive one in 2024, they give it a little bit more of a breakdown here. So it seems like this may also be fluctuations from revamp, because I remember around this time rhymestyle in them was also using revamp as well too. So they might be, and I know slow plays also cover revamp as well. Myself, I remember I was trying to get into revamp as well too, and I just couldn't figure out how to fucking mod it properly. But that may be also a reason why we're seeing such a dramatic increase of this, because this is an exponential gain that would typically happen if something major is happening within either the game itself as a raid or like some type of festival, or something like revamp, which has taken the Xenoverse 2 community by storm, which was no questions, by the way, for that. So let's hop back in. We're going to look at now the Future Saga Chapter 1, May 23rd, 2024. So let's hop over to 2024 May, and then we're going to look at over here as well too. 2024 of May, 24%. When this released towards the middle of May, so we're gonna actually have to look at the next month prior, because this is still accounting for the slow player base throughout the month. And here we have is a plus 4.2% gain and a 39.4% gain. Once again, look at that. May, June, and July. It once again shows a major fluctuation based on the PVE release. Okay, so people are getting their hands on it, they're enjoying it, they're liking. This is one of the major first DLCs to start happening, right? You're getting a whole bunch of moves, a whole bunch of pelor quests, you know, raids at this point was booming as well too. So you're getting a lot of stuff. New transformations was coming out as well too. So you're getting a lot of stuff. At this point, PvE content was at its all-time high, right? So you got May, you got June, July, August, a dramatic decrease of 34.1%. Basically lost its entire average gain from that release, right? Same thing here. In Steam, it's almost like it's following a trend. Oh my god. Now don't get me wrong, correlation does not equal causation, and like I said, there are confounds that are in this, because you have, like I said, there's little things that you have to account for as well too, and that is 100% true. Like I said, that whole thing with October, it might have been something because of revamp. 161% gain out of nowhere, that makes no sense out of the average that it is typically keeping, right? Once again, this is all statistics, right? I went to school for this. I literally, like I said, I try to find everything I can possibly get to justify numbers, or at least support numbers, either pro PvE or pro PvP. And once again, it is showing that PvE is a catalyst of getting players back into the game, maintaining them, and then we see a significant or semi-significant drop-off, right? Now, the next release is Future Saga. Oh, we already did this one. It's November 20th, 2024. The Chapter 2. So November 20th, 2024. So let's go to November 20th, 2024. November 20th, 2024. All right. So November 20th, 2024. So here we have the Future Saga Part 2 that has dropped. Now, look at this. This is where PlayStation definitely is higher than, I would say, Steam. Steam at this point, very dropped off. I think this is getting, at this point of 2024 going into 2026, 2024 ending, going into 2025 through to 2026, you're going to start seeing, because I looked at the numbers beforehand, so at least I know what I was going to say, because I'm not going off a script. I have like a script listing of like bullet points to make sure that I emphasize, but I'm not going over a script. I'm going over what I seen from numbers, and I was able to grab up from looking a whole day at shit, and then be able to bring to you. All right. So PlayStation for November, once again, they did a middle to late release. It's Bandai. They do that. I don't know the reason why. That's actually coming close to Black Friday as well too. The game goes on sale. Obviously, you have the DLCs. It's not on sale. It makes sense. You're going into the holidays as well too. Xenoverse 2 will be a great gift to pick up. Once again, there's business, there's marketing, there's a reason why behind it. I can't confirm nor deny that, but of course you can always see that Xenoverse 2 was always going on some sale. There's not a time I didn't see Xenoverse drop down to like fucking $10. All right. Xenoverse 2 was always hitting some sales, okay? December, you see a plus 47% gain. That is due to PVE. And I can say that confidently because, once again, these numbers that they're pulling from this is averaging throughout the month from a specific point of last month to the middle of November. So ironically, the numbers are reflecting is a little bit delayed. Hence the reason why I said we have to account for that margin of error. We have to look at the month after. I will also caution look at the second month after as well too, and you should always look at the month behind it as well, right? So that's coming off of October 2024. But like I said, the October and then November, but December speaks massively. Once again, this one did drop down, so the 24.1% of loss ended up going to 7.9%, which is not bad. That means that they got some players, right? You know, that's not, well, actually no, they didn't. My fault. They didn't get any players. They dropped down a little bit more, but as you can see, it's not too much of a big loss from what they were already at. So they maintained some level of player base there, even though it was only 908 versus 836. The difference between those two is 7.9%. All right. Now, like I said, the player base here is massively like crazy. It's a massive difference. Now, after December, they maintained. They only lost 0.3%. All right. Look at this. Their player base stayed basically virtually the same. And that's covering towards the ending / middle-ish of the month, going into the next middle of the month. Hence why you see that these numbers are pretty close to each other, which is good. It's good. There's retention there. Now, rule of thumb, 2 months. Look at February. It lost 13.4%, leading it to a 21.2%. Look at this. 27%. 15%. Look at this. A massive decrease off. Massive. Next up, we have May 21st of 2025, which is the Dragon Ball Diamond Pack and Time Patrol support release. So let's go to May of the 2025, right? So May of 2025, we got 38.3% loss here. All right. April, May. Yep, May 21st. Once again, that's in the middle of the month. So rule of thumb, let's look at the next month, which is June. It's averaging around the same. So that means this pack here, which was a light pack, once again, as well too. Actually, Steam had a higher increase for this one because of it being on Steam. Obviously, you can account for modding, all that great stuff as well too. I'm pretty sure, especially with revamp, they're trying to fix their because they had an update. I think this is around the time where revamp will have to go down for a little bit to get a little bit of update because of all the new characters, the shadings, all that great stuff, right? So, with that being the case, right? Look at this. It is an increase over here. So there is once again a player activity there. June is a drop off by a smidge, not too much. A point is a 4.0% drop off there, and then July it picks right back up. Once again, you see the same thing actually happened with PlayStation, where it's a plus 82.2% of a dramatic increase going into August 2025, right? Now, I can't account that all for being Diamond as well too. I'm pretty sure that there were other things happening during that time, raids and other stuff being released for PlayStation, okay? So, next major release that we want to go towards, and like I said, the reason why I like to keep the same margin is of like the month of release, 1 month behind, look at 2 months after, is because typically you see some type of activity at least happening the second month after, because of maybe in-game events and stuff like that as well too. Because at this point, the initial release of the content, PvP should be holding up. But if you've been paying attention from major releases that we have, the game, it dies. It drops off. It loses a significant amount of players that joined in from there to some degree, right? But you see like the highest peaks coming in at those times, and then it drops off. So let's hop over into October 29th of 2025. All right, October 9th of 2025. October 9th of 2025. Okay, so look at this. So this is the release of Future Saga Chapter 3. Basically going towards the beginning of the end of the game, right? They once again released the end of October. All right, so this is a true number. Look at this is basically a true number being reflected into the next month. Like, this is probably the purest one, because it is capturing the middle/end of the month going into the middle of the next month, which is why I'm guessing that they're calculating it. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. 52. Look at this. October 29th, 2025. And then November, 52.5%. They dramatically jumped from that Saga's chapter. Look at this. The peaks jumped up as well too. Oh my God. Look at this. Look at this. It is mirror of each other. Mirror. And also, because of all the content that was happening, look at how much, especially those parallel quests. Parallel quests, you had story. Once again, raids were going on as well too. You have all the stuff that leads into PvP usage as well, because all the new moves you want to go online and try out, which you can see on a lot of people's channels. Which it will do is they will go get the new moves, grind up parallel quests, and then go on PvP. All right, once again, we're looking at the sustainability of PvP after PvE has dropped off. Right now, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look. October, November, December, 2 months. October, November, December. Amazing. Then it drops. Right? Then it drops over here. The dramatic increase is slowed down, so it's not like another 52 point blah blah blah, etc. It's pretty much cooled down at this point until we get to February. We don't have any major releases in February, so I can't exactly explain that reason why February was popping for so much. Okay, with February, more than likely, from what I can somewhat try to piece together, is I think people were still coming back and finishing up Saga's PvE content, so like their stories and stuff, getting ready for the final DLC coming out, which was supposed to be the final DLC, Future Saga DLC Pack 4. That is the final one. I also was one who came back to the game around this time, ironically, to do so. I actually dropped a video on this because I was live streaming me coming back to the game and clearing up some of the missions that I missed myself, and then also getting ready for the final DLC, getting my parallel quests done and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that's the exact reason why. I know me personally, I can say that's the reason why I know I came back for that. And it ironically was around that time of February, which my live stream should be up on this channel that you should be able to see. So that may be the reason why, that may not be, but that's at least something I can surmise, right? And then the last one, they did a early July 8th, 2026 release here. So when we look at the last 30 days of this game, right, the last 30 days, because it would have been within this month, because it's the beginning to middle, look at that. This is the biggest gain in retention until we get, because the new one should be coming out, because how I can tell, last 30 days, like I said, middle towards the next middle of the month, is because we have not gotten July yet. July is almost done calculating, but the fact that we are at 326% of gain/loss, after this, I would not be shocked or surprised to see this number drop massively. And once again, the reason why people came back, because this is the final DLC. This is the goodbye tour. This is everything that you have went through for your character. This is everything. You've quite literally have made it to the end. You have made it to the end. This is it. And then the segue to Xenoverse 3. Now, if you look at that, peak concurrence, 8,942, 8,934, 4,433, 4,453. So, from both of these charts, which is the best charts that I was able to find regarding Xenoverse 2, active player base and gameplay, you can see that there is significant drops off after releases of major DLCs. PvP cannot maintain that, right? It's just impossible. I don't care what you say. Like it's statistically, it's impossible. And the numbers show. The numbers definitely show. It definitely shows more on Steam. But for PlayStation, to a considerable amount, it definitely does show a dramatic decrease when it came to PvE releases, and then PvP having to like pretty much hold the phone. Like the diehard fans of Xenoverse 2, the numbers do not lie. We see more people start to come back in for these major releases. Okay, we see that. It's evident that they come back for these major releases. All right, at one point, like look at this. Right? So the argument that PvP, like Xenoverse 2 is a PvP game, and that is why Xenoverse 2 stayed afloat after all this time, you can't say that. You literally cannot say that. That's horse bull. That is horse bull. PvE is what keeps this game refreshed. PvE is what adds on to PvP. You can't have a PvP system in this game anymore if you don't have PvE to add more content, because you spamming the same 4 moves in evasive and 2 ultimates, right, and 1 transformation, you spamming that for the entirety of, I don't know, let's say 5 years, no, you'll get tired of it, you'll get bored, because you're doing the exact same rinse and repeat, which is the curse that fighting games have to deal with. When you look at traditional fighting games like Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 6 is going on a long road and is still looking to bridge out its roadmap. And it has one of the highest retention in the FGC community. Is because they keep adding more content, more things for you to learn, adding new characters, mixing things up, nerfs, buffs, all that, because you're most of the time inputting the same combos all the time. But it is the intriguing battle between one another that you get to learn each other and adapt. That is the fighting aura. If you don't like getting your ass whooped to learn to adapt, then the game's not for you. And for Xenoverse 2, it has a mediocre to some degree level of fighting mechanics than a traditional fighting game. All right, traditional fighting game is way more in depth than Xenoverse 2. Now I will say the mission matching of combinations, because of the moves that you get from PvE, from new content, is what keeps it refreshing, revitalizing. You know, it keeps the spirit going. PvP cannot survive without PvE. Literally, they cannot. PvP only exists because PvE allows it to. Because if you're playing the same thing, hitting the same triangle, triangle, square, 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 triangle, like dash, triangle, key cancel, square, 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 triangle. Where's the diversity in the gameplay in that besides your actual movesets? You're playing to break the stamina. You're not playing to outsmart or outthink your opponent to a certain degree like an actual fighting game. Hence why, for Xenoverse 3, they took that ability away from you. You have to be able to get up personal. You have to be able to throw hands and not relying on key blast spamming. You can't rely on sitting there using the same moves to sit there and just break someone and then just kill them in 1 second. No, you're going to have some recovery going on between both players. You're going to have outs, right? You're gonna have outs to get your health back up, you know, to continue the fight to go on, you know, using your hands to see who comes out the best of the fight, with actually using more of their technical abilities and their application with the fighting mechanics, rather than relying solely based on spamming a certain skill that has invisibility frames and stuff that people are hating and don't like, or people are taking advantage of, or simply the insane modders that are going on online. All right. So PvP, once again, cannot thrive unless PvE allows it to. All right, so we're in multi-lobby right now. I don't know how many. I'm in the time of this recording is 1:35. I'm trying to get this out today, but the time of recording, this is a multi-lobby here, and once again we got some people over here getting into some parallel quests. So what I want to do real quick is, you see 1, 2 people over here, right? So let's test this out. So we're gonna go into an online battle. I'm not gonna actually have a fight with someone, but what I want to do is I want to hit a ranked match without limitations, and then let's do a let's do a quick match. Let's do a quick match, and let's see, are we gonna get put with somebody instantly or are we not? Okay, we are not. So PvP, it has been almost a full month since the actual PvE content has been added in, right? So we're talking about the parallel quests from the Saga DLC, and also the people who are coming back to the game, which I am pretty sure a lot of people came back to the game because of the final DLC. They probably missed pack 3 and 2, so they're probably playing those as well as trying to get the new one done, right? So you have people, at least at that time, going crazy. Now, it's almost been a full month since that has passed by. This recording is of July 29th. This is about limitations. If you guys don't know, Syriax can never find a fucking match. Hence why he posts when he goes into a fight. All right? So that way he can get his video done for his series. And because of that, that shows the lack of PvP capability. You can't play PvP if you quite literally can't find no one to play, right? Now, while I'm over here yapping, talking about how some of these creators are saying that PvP is the thrive of this game, and they're bitch made because they keep saying that shit, and then once you disagree and say no, PvE holds the candle to this game, Google also says, hey, by the way, this is an RPG/MMO. Once again, Hirosama and them went the direction of a true MMORPG this time instead of a half MMORPG. You think you're better than the producers and Bandai saying that this is a PvP game. So where is my opponent? I've been talking this entire time. Where is my opponent? Where's my opponent at? I would love to see my opponent. It's 1:37 p.m. It's summer. It should be brimming with kids, teenagers, adults of all age. Where's the players? I searched up a quick match, so there was not a single lobby. There wasn't a single lobby open. A single lobby. So let's leave this room because I'm not gonna sit here and wait 20 minutes. Now let's go and see if PvE has something. Let's see. You never know. So we're gonna create a room and let's see how long it takes to see if we can pull somebody here for PvE. So once again, like I said, Xenoverse 2 with this DLC, it should be ending its dry era at this point, where people, like I said, if they are wanting to play the game more, this is definitely the time. It is midday. So let's see if we can find somebody for oh, look at that. We found someone faster. Yo, hello? Hey, yo, Andrew, can you hear me? I got a quick question. I'm not sure. You speak English? I'm sorry. Oh, I don't think he can talk. All right, it's fine. I'm doing it. Yo, Aluni, can you hear me, Aluni? Oh, chat, guys, I'm gonna ask them. All right, I'm not sure you guys can hear me. It sounds like you guys can. I'm doing a video right now, right? So you guys are kind of in the video, just full disclosure. And it's a video based on the whole Xenoverse 3 controversy shit right now. And people saying that this game thrives only for PvP, not PvE. And I was able to find you guys faster for PvE rather than PvP. So if you want to unmute, that's up to you. But if you just want to send a message, what's the message thing? If you agree that this game has more for you to do for PvE than PvP, can you hit thanks in advance? Like, all you have to do is just hit that message in the chat. Oh, he left. They left. Oh, they left. Oh my god, they didn't want. I don't think they want to be in the video. I think they didn't want to be in the video. Oh my, we got someone else. We got someone. This is faster than people. Yo, say, are you in there? Can you hear me? Oh my, see, look at this. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Do any of you have mics? All right, so if you don't have mics, that's fine. We're gonna start real soon because I don't want to leave you guys hanging. But I'm doing a video right now, so if you guys want to be in the video, if not, I guess you can leave. That's his point. My video is based on the Xenoverse 3 controversy right now, and people who are saying that this game thrives more for PvP versus PvE. So if you guys think that this game thrives more for PvE, could you guys hit in the chat thanks in advance? Like, if you hit like the message, if you hit thanks in advance, that would agree that you believe PvE is more based for this game than PvP. I am also not sure if they can hear me, by the way. I don't think they can hear me. All right, I'm gonna do these parallel. I'm gonna do this parallel quest with them real quick, so that way that I'm not leaving them hanging. But I'll be right back. All right, so we finished the parallel quest. I am missing the Venus Fist. So did I get that? I would love to get that. If not, I'll grind it later. At least this parallel quest is kind of quick though, so I like it. And also the exchange between both Frieza and Cooler is always cool because I always like those two as a sibling. I don't know, it's just, I'm surprised. I can just feel the heated rivalry between the two. Okay, so I didn't get the move, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I was able to get this faster than waiting over there in PvP. Literally faster than waiting over there in PvP. That says a lot. All right, so with that leads me down to my final analysis / thoughts. Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse 2 is a RPG game. It's an action RPG / MMORPG. It is not a PvP game. That is not its main focus. Xenoverse 2 main focus has always been about you, the character, the CAC, the hero of Kanton City. Okay, not PvP, not the PvP warrior of Kanton City, which you can become if you want to. You know, grinding through the ranks and stuff. You get certain achievements, certain titles, stuff like that, etc. That's something that you can do. And once again, that goes for you to customize your CAC with those titles and stuff so you can flex, right? But the main point is the PvE content. This game has delivered very stellarly the entirety of its lifespan. Xenoverse 2, I always said before, and I'm on record saying this, Xenoverse 2 is the anime version of GTA 5. GTA 5 milks money, content-wise. It's not just because of all the stuff they could add for the PvP, like the heists and stuff. Actually, no, that's PvE, technically speaking. PvP, like you just shooting each other, you know, like fighting each other, whatever case may be. No, the main staple point for, once again, our lovely GTA is all the PvE stuff, the mission, the heist, the car racings, you know, the what do you call it, the car designings in games for your character, your CC creation, you know, the money sharks so you can get certain weapons and stuff. Then you can use for mass destruction when you go, you know, online trying to terrorize people. But a lot of people that was online for GTA are doing PvE based activities. Most of them are not sitting there fighting each other. Most of them are sitting there wreaking havoc across the city, right? In GTA 5. most of them are not all competitive play. Most of them are just mindless, fun, soft games with each other's friends, you know, for GTA 5. But a lot of the core elements for that is that they keep adding new stuff for you to buy with your character to customize your arsenal, your inventory, for you to utilize for these heists, or you want to utilize for PvP matches. It's the same thing for Xenoverse 2. Xenoverse 2, at the end of the day, is a action role-play game / MMORPG. I cannot express that enough. It is not a PvP game. This game's entire lifespan survived off of PvE. You can't argue PvP, especially with the numbers that I've shown you. You can't argue it. What brought people back to the game, what held them for a significant amount of time, there was more cases in that chart for both of them that showed that there was dramatic drop-offs of player base, and the concurrents were very low and at a stable set of people, which I would say is either playing PvP or playing raids or continuously are grinding PvE content in the game. We can't conclusively just say that it's just PvP, but what we can see from these numbers is that a big fluctuation happens on this game when it came to either modding, revamp, or raids, or PvE story, DLC content dropping. So any creator that you see saying, oh, Xenoverse 2 is a PvP based game, and the fact that you're saying it's PvE or more people play PvE is just bullshit, you yourself count towards that statistics. You played PvE probably more than you play PvP. If you are a die-hard PvP player in Xenoverse 2, I do not doubt that I do not doubt that it's likely that you played more PvP content than PvE. But when you're factoring in raids, when you're factoring in parallel quest grinding for new moves, if you're not lucky, then you're accounting for all of the shop stuff that you can buy as well. You're accounting from the story, if I did not already say that already, the farming of mentors, the farming for the transformations, the card game that they dropped in Xenoverse 2 as well too, when people were actually playing that for a little bit just to give it a test. The first introduction to raid bosses as well, story-based raid bosses as well too. I find it intriguing that more than 70% of the player base has played PvP more than PvE. I think the top 1% of Xenoverse 2, if I'm going to be even nice, technically speaking, I'd say maybe even like 20% of Xenoverse 2 players play more PvP than PvE. But at the same time, if you can barely find a match, I booted up the game. I was in there for a good mod. I gave a whole monologue and everything. I end up creating my own room for PvE for one of the new DLC missions, and guess what? Within like a minute and a half, I got people joining in back to back. Literally back to back. Hey, and back to back. And then back. Like, dude, so that's that point. PvE is the foundation for Xenoverse 2, and it's going to continue to do so in Xenoverse 3. And if you have a problem with that, just don't buy the game. Which I know you're going to buy the game, so at the end of the day, just shut the fuck up. Like, I understand your criticism, but it's not criticism, it's you bitching. I've seen more grown men bitching than chihuahuas. I've known chihuahuas to be the most annoying little fucking dogs I've ever seen in my fucking life. But I've seen grown men who are in their fucking 20s to 30s getting their titties in the bunch. Their fucking titties strapped up. Their titties twisted. Because of a Xenoverse 3 demo that was sent out on the road to test players' engagement, which at the end of the day, if it did not capture you, then that is also a failure on the producer's part, on the developer's part. But if you are saying that your criticism is that it felt boring, that's subjective. If I was playing that game for the demo, which I would love to do, but I gotta wait until it goes to Pennsylvania because that's closer to New York City for me, then I would be like, oh yeah, I am gonna go play it, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have a blast at the end of the day. All right. But you saying it's boring is subjective. You saying, oh, the screen's cluttered, that's invalid criticism. Or that the combos feel a little bit wonky, it seems like it just needs to be polished up more. That's why I give props to Syriax. Syriax's video was probably one of the best demo videos I've actually seen a creator do. And he covered the pros and the cons and the I like to see some development here, but it has some promise. That is valid criticism. A lot of you guys are just straight up bitching. And the fact that that is like, that's what we're going to, and also attacking creators now who completely has way more success than you, and it seems like you're just trying to dick ride off of them, off of their names, to try to get some type of relevancy in the search engine optimization using their names to dick ride your way up into people's feeds. I think that is actually some bitch made shit. I think that is the most bitch shit I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen pimps have bottom bitches, and I think you as a person, for anyone who does that, is probably the lowest low that can't even touch a bottom bitch. I don't have any current beefs with anyone as of right now. I'm always down for beef. I'm always down for beef. If you guys know me, you've been here for a while, you know I am a troller myself, and I love interacting with people when it comes to respective criticism. But if you are going to try to do some bullshit, best believe that I will do this until the day you die. And I don't mean this as a joke. I'm being so serious. I will even troll you and your family after you've died. You best hope that I'm gone before you, because it's going to be bad, like real bad, you know. And I'll clarify with you if you want the smoke, because if I give you the smoke, like my tweet I said on Twitter, it's forever. What Cardi say? Forever. All right. But that's it. That's my whole TED talk. I just wanted to talk about this again. I just wanted for us to have this fair and honest dialogue with some statistical evidence. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If not, let me know your comment section down below. Let me know your arguments down below as well too. And if you feel like you are arguing with a creator who is just going off a bias and being a what would we say, a pansy, you can just send them this video. This has gotten to like an hour and some change, so hopefully it's not that long. Well, it is gonna be long, but hopefully they have the attention span to actually sit through it. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna try to get this out as soon as possible, but yeah, I'm just going to disengage from the Xenoverse 3 community at this point. Too much negative Nancy's, and I really hope that you guys do the same thing as well too, because it is kind of sad to see how sad these people are bitching. It's pathetic.